Welcome to the Diva D-Town. Welcome to the Diva D-Town, where bold, confident women embrace life unapologetically. From love and sex to wellness and reinvention, we keep it raw, real, and powerful. No filters, no limits. Just fearless conversations to help you thrive. Let's dive in with Diva Mia.
Hello, this is Diva Mia, and today we're going to talk about 25 midlife symptoms. I think it's so important to go over and discuss things that happen when you're going through midlife so you don't think it's a midlife crisis, or if you are going through a crisis, you have ways to find help. When we go through crazy hormone changes, and we really need to know what's going on because nobody really tells you this when you're younger. Nobody tells you that some of these changes are going to happen, and we're not prepared for it. We get warned about hot flashes. I think a lot of people talk about hot flashes. Maybe somebody mentions that our periods will eventually stop, or apparently that's supposed to, cover the entire subject. Then you hit 40 and 50, and suddenly you're standing in your kitchen wondering, why did I come in here? What was I looking for? Or your shoulder hurts for absolutely no reason. You woke up at 3:17 in the morning and you're like, I can't go back to sleep. You're sweating. You're peeing all the time. You're freezing. You sneeze and you might pee a little bit. And then your favorite jeans fit differently, even though the scale barely moved and you're getting a little fluffy. Or your skin suddenly wants a completely different skincare routine. You're working out the same as you did in your 20s and you're not losing any weight. Sex feels completely different. Your patience has apparently moved to another state, and there's a decent chance you recently Googled something like, can menopause make me feel completely insane? Well, welcome to midlife. Today we're about to talk about 25 midlife symptoms that nobody warned us about. What's commonly associated with the menopause transition? What may have another explanation entirely? And more importantly, what should you actually track? Because I don't want women dismissing every symptom as hormones. I think a lot of times we do, because that's what we're told. We're told, oh, it's just your hormones. And your friends will say, oh, it's probably your hormones, because nobody knows. I don't want you thinking that something is terribly wrong with you either every time something in your body changes, because sometimes it is just hormones or sometimes it's a bodily change. The goal here is just to provide as much information. And again, this is not medical information. You need to talk to your doctor, but this is going to give you a little bit of a heads up and maybe point you in the right direction. Because your body is giving you data. So you need to start collecting it. And one important thing, to point out that we begin is perimenopause and menopause can involve sleep problems. And I will tell you, when you have sleep problems, it can change everything in your life. You're going to be more moody. You're going to be more tired. You're not going to focus. Your goals, you're going to be delayed on your goals. You're not going to be motivated. You're going to say, I don't really feel like it today. And, when you go through perimenopause and menopause, you can have hot flashes during the day and at night. You can have night sweats. You can have mood changes. Your memory and concentration may go down. Your joints and muscles may be very uncomfortable. And then vaginal symptoms, let me tell you, dry vaginal symptoms. When I had that, it was terrible. And then your sexual desire changes and maybe the way you want to have sex changes. So that's one of the big things that they don't tell you about. I don't think anybody ever told me that I was going to have vaginal dryness until I talked to my doctor about it. So I had no idea what was going on. I thought I was just, losing my libido, but it was a menopause symptoms. And once my vaginal dryness was fixed, my libido went back up. But not every symptom that occurs in your 40s and 50s is caused by menopause. So if something is severe, usually persistent, or rapidly getting worse, you need to talk to a doctor. Because a lot of people just say, oh, I think I'm getting old. My knees hurt and I'm getting old. Oh, well, you know what? You now have arthritis, or maybe there's just something they can do. Or, oh, my boobs are sagging and I feel like I have a lump. Go talk to a doctor, because there might be something wrong. Because a lot of times it's not just you getting old, it's sometimes something else going on. Let's get to the list, okay? I made a list of 25 things and that we're going to talk about a little bit. And hopefully I can get through this very quickly so that you can move on. So I'm going to talk a little faster today. But I hope this helps you out because, ladies, we go through a lot. Some of the men go through the same stuff. So if you're a man listening on today, you may be going through some of this too. So you may want to listen up or help your partner or wife. Number one is the 3 a.m. wake up. I will say that's an annoying thing to me. I wake up every day around 3 o'clock, 3:10. Some days it's like 3:11, 3:11, 3:11 every day. Let's start with one of the most aggravating things. So you fall asleep perfectly fine. Then suddenly at 3:08 or 3:11 for me, Your eyes are wide open and you're awake. And your brain has decided that it would be an excellent time to review your taxes, plan your future children's college, maybe create a business plan or review an argument that you had with somebody back in 2019 or whether the refrigerator is making a weird noise. And your brain, it won't stop. Your brain goes into mental overdrive. Wow, ladies, I will tell you, this is one of the most aggravating things to me. It could be just something that was mentioned the night before. For some reason, my brain's processing it, and all of a sudden at 3 o'clock, I want to write a business plan. It's an interesting thing. Sleep disruption is common during menopause transition, and it's common after menopause as well. It doesn't always happen because you're having an obvious hot flash, or I never had hot flashes, so that was the thing for me, but it was always causing my mental brain to go on overdrive. In fact, I'm postmenopausal now, and I still have this 3 a.m. wake up. Fragmented sleep matters too. So track this. Write down when you go to sleep, and then when you wake up. I recommend you get a ring of some type or some type of tracker that tracks your sleep so you can see how often you wake up during the night, because you might only wake up for a minute and you're not going to write that down, ladies. And you don't want to get up and sit up and write it down. So whether you're sweating, you're snoring, you have sleep apnea, if you're gasping for air, and how you feel the following day will tell you a lot about how you slept. Because if your Fitbit says you were in bed for 8 hours and it's not necessarily the same thing as 8 hours of restorative sleep. That's why I like the rings, because they will tell you when you were in REM sleep, when you were in deep sleep, if you had light sleep, etc. So that's one of the possibilities. Number 2, ladies, we're already up to number 2. So we're going to talk about night sweats. And night sweats without the dramatic hot flash happens, where you're just laying in bed and you just start sweating. And it goes on for a while. Everybody knows about hot flashes, but sometimes it's not. Sometimes, a hot flash is like, I'm suddenly feeling I'm on fire, but sometimes you simply wake up with your neck damp, your hair is wet, your chest is sweating, and you kick off the covers, and then you want to put the covers back on 10 minutes later because you're freezing. The night sweats are hot flashes occurring during your sleep, and they can interfere with sleep quality. So you need to track this. And a lot of times women, we could minimize some of our symptoms if we get our hormones checked during menopause. A lot of women think they should not get their hormones checked until after menopause, and that's not true, because there's a lot of hormone replacement therapy that can help alleviate some of these symptoms. And lack of sleep is a medical condition. It can kill you if you don't sleep enough. So try to get yourself checked out. If you're having a lot of menopause symptoms, or even a few, just get yourself checked out. How many nights a week are you sleeping less than 8 hours? How many nights a week are you sleeping less than 5? Are you actually soaking your clothes or sheets? What time does it happen? And also, were you drinking? Because if you're drinking alcohol and then you're sweating at night, that can be a problem too, because your body sweats to get the alcohol out because it's a poison or a toxin for you. So did you eat a lot of spicy food, or is your bed too warm? I have a bed that actually heats up in the wintertime because it's a water bed, and that can be a problem as well. And then, do you have stress? And the stress can cause sleep issues as well. And your bedroom, the best way to keep your bedroom temperature is probably between 65 and 68 degrees is what most people recommend. Now, to me, that's a little cold. I like mine at 69. But if you find the temperature that works best for you, and keep it cooler, because people tend to sleep better when it's cooler. And if you're going through hot sweats at night, ladies, you may need to keep it in on the cooler side. And if you're having true drenching night sweats repeatedly, particularly with unexplained weight loss, fever, or other concerning symptoms, don't automatically label it menopause, because, there are some other more serious things that can also cause night sweats. Number 3 is brain fog. Oh my gosh, brain fog was a big one for me. This one can scare women because, you walk into the kitchen, you're like, what the heck was I looking for? You can see an object, and sometimes the word left the building. You have no idea what you're trying to say, and you're looking at the object, but you can't say what the object is, or you're standing there saying, hand me the you know what, the thing, the silver thing. And your child says, a fork, and you're like, yeah, a fork. Problems with concentration, forgetfulness, and word retrieval can occur during the menopause transition. So just realize that it's part of menopause and you're not going crazy. You may have other issues going on. You may be stressed or lack of sleep, but a lot of times that's part of menopause too. So don't make the opposite mistake and assume significant memory problems are also menopause, because there are things such as early onset dementia. So do get things checked out. Talk to your healthcare provider. They can give you advice and let you know more for your specific situation. And then track it. When does your brain fog happen? Is it always at the same time at 2 o'clock in the afternoon? Maybe you're having a sugar crash. Is it after a bad night's sleep, or is it after a stressful day? Because cortisol will affect it as well. When you haven't eaten, sometimes people have more memory issues, or it might also be a medication thing. Because a lot of people, they take medication and they don't realize those medications affect their memory. It is if it's an occasional word finding problem, like I just had stuttered, or are you forgetting major appointments? Are you forgetting, oh, you needed to get up today because you had an 8 o'clock and it was in your calendar. You looked at it the night before, but then you forgot. Those are bigger problems. Are you getting lost or struggling with basic tasks that you always used to perform and perform well? You need to talk to somebody if you are, because that's a very, very different situation. All right, we're now to number 4. Walking into a room and forgetting why. That's another forgetful thing. Midlife can feel like your brain is running a scavenger hunt against itself. You're walking upstairs, you arrive, you have no clue where you were. You walk back downstairs. You remember, then you go back upstairs. And congratulations, you accidentally increased your step count. But before panicking, look at sleep, mental stress, overload, medications, and everything else, because it doesn't mean you have Alzheimer's or early onset dementia. It just may mean you're exhausted, and that happens a lot. And your brain can only take so much. And I will say a lack of sleep for me is a guarantee where I get brain fog. And when I sleep well, it feels like my brain just clears out completely, and I feel so much more alert. Colors are brighter. So sleep for me is so crucial. But track this. So is it happening frequently? Is the sleep night, was it the night before? Did you sleep well? Is your stress level increasing? Or did you start a new medication? Are you drinking a lot? That can help. That can affect memory as well. And these episodes are actually, if they're interfering with your daily function, you need to talk to someone and try to find something to resolve the situation. All right, we're up to number 5. Your patience disappears. Typically, between 35 and 50, women get a little more intolerable to stupidity and things that just don't make sense. If somebody's chewing loud or if they're being very annoying. I have a friend that has a lot of road rage when she drives. She doesn't yell. She doesn't get out of the car, but she does yell at a lot of people in the car. I'm a little worried for her. And someone asks you the same question for the 4th time. And you're like, I already answered it. And they keep asking because they forget what your answer is. I have kids that do that, honestly. Or you're reconsidering all your life choices. So your mood changes and you get irritable. You're like, why am I working this job? Why are my kids, I tell them the same thing over and over again. They don't do it. Why is my husband not doing anything around the house? You may be a little snippy between 35 and 50. Just realize that. Your mood changes, you get more irritable, and you can be going through menopause early. You could be starting that transition. But here's the important part. Sometimes you're irritable because hormones are changing, but sometimes you're irritable because you only slept for 4 hours because you're exhausted. Or you've been carrying everybody else's responsibilities and you have mental overload. Then again, sometimes people just genuinely annoy you. So I will say that happens. There are people that just have no clue and they just completely annoy you. All 4 of the same can be true at the same time. So just realize that. And mood from 1 to 10, your mood from 1 to 10 is, did you get enough sleep? Did you cycle? Did your menstrual cycle change? I mean, that, I will say, ladies, those hormones, when we have menstruation, whew, so glad I'm done with that. Major stressors may also impact, your moods. With hormones, any medications you're on, that can also change. So look for patterns instead of assuming you're suddenly developing a terrible personality, because there may be things you can do and ways to offset, irritability. I think, again, sleep is number 1. Without sleep, everyone gets a little snippety, I will say. Okay, number 6, sudden anxiety. Some women who never considered themselves anxious after menopause or during menopause, they suddenly notice that their heart races when they get anxious. They might have a panic attack. I had that happen when I was going through menopause. They might worry or they're restless. Sometimes we get a sense of being overwhelmed because we are overwhelmed, ladies. Or you might have a difficulty of shutting off your mind, especially me at 3 o'clock in the morning. But anxiety-like symptoms can be also medical causes. So thyroid, you need to get your thyroid check also when you're going through menopause because that can be affected. Medication, sleep deprivation, and other conditions can overlap, ladies. So don't always blame menopause, but, track it. So like as everything else, when does it happen? How long does it last? If you're getting anxiety, what's your heart rate? Are you drinking extra caffeine that day? Did you sleep well? Or are you on new medications? And medications, I will say, a lot of times will in fact affect your heart rate. So if you experience new or significant heart rate symptoms, don't self-diagnose them as anxiety. Get it checked out. because it could be a heart attack. A lot of ladies have heart attacks you don't even realize, and you don't have to be 60 years or 50 years old to have a heart attack. Number 7, heart palpitations. This one gets your attention very quickly because you feel like your heart is going to jump out of your chest. Now, I had an allergic reaction which gave me heart palpitations because I actually am allergic to marijuana. So when people are smoking marijuana, I can get heart palpitations from it. So if you're sitting there perfectly peaceful and suddenly you have a thump, 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 flutter, pause, thump, 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 and your heart feels like it's about to jump out of your chest, you're like, holy crap, what is that? And then you go to the emergency room and they say, oh yes, you're having heart palpitations. So, and they can track that. So women, it's not in your head. It can happen during menopause, but palpitations, there's so many causes. And mine was actually, it wasn't menopause. It was actually an allergic reaction. So this is just one thing I say, don't just say it's menopause. And if it's happening at the same time every day, if it lasts for about the same duration, after you've gone to the hospital 3 or 4 times, you may need to start tracking this more. If you have a heart rate monitor, what are you doing when it happens? Do you drink extra coffee that day? Did you drink alcohol the night before? Did you hydrate well? Did you sleep well? Your medications, check those out. And then if you're dizzy, fainting, or you have chest pains, that can be serious. You need to make sure any new or concerning heart palpitations deserve medical attention and that you get the medical attention that you need right away. All right, I'm up to number 8. Sorry, I'm trying to go so fast so I can get to all 25 today. Your internal thermostat breaks. So 1 minute you're like, oh, it's so hot in here. And the next minute you're freezing. You go like, who turned on the air conditioning down to the Antarctica? So you've got to make sure that when you have hot flashes, if you have hot flashes, I never did, but some people have hot flashes. Sometimes it involves sudden warmth, flushing, sweating, and then sometimes you feel chilled to the bones. It varies tremendously. Some women barely notice them. Other women, they have them for their lives and sleep. It's definitely interrupts their sleep. So they can have it at night as well. So track it. Number of times per day, how many times per night, any duration, and then the severity. And then write it down because a lot of times if you have what we talked about earlier and your mental capacity is getting a little less, you may not remember how many times you had them for the day. So think about any triggers. So like I drank a cup of coffee and then I got a hot flash because that information your doctor can say, you know what? I get hot flashes after I go swimming or I get hot flashes after I get out of the shower. Any of those things help to track it. Okay, number 9, your body shape changes without, telling you about it. It doesn't tell you, hey, I'm not going to ask for permission. Your body shape is just changing. A lot of times women get furious because their body shape has changed. You may weigh about the same amount of money, but you suddenly notice that, ooh, my butt got bigger or, ooh, my boobs aren't in the same place they were. So body fat distribution can change during midlife. You might get more fat around your midsection. A lot of times that happens to women, and hormones aren't the only explanation for weight changes. And sometimes it's muscle loss, which hormones do affect as well, but there is some age-related muscle loss, and muscle is harder to gain if you're not really working at it as you get older. It's not as easy to put on when you're 50 as it was when you were 20. Activity can change, your diet, your sleep, genetics also matter. So you know what? If your metabolism didn't necessarily pack its bag and, abandon you at night and say, here you go, you're left with the metabolism half the size it was, and then your previous strategy may no longer be working. Okay, it just may not, because a lot of people have to decrease how much food they're eating too as they get older because their muscle mass has decreased, so they can't eat as much. But then they continue eating and then they wonder why they gain the weight. But track your weight, track your waist, track your strength. Make sure you're getting daily movement. Walking is so great, ladies, for people in their 50s and 60s. We think that we need to run a mile or 2 miles in order to stay healthy. But honestly, when you're older, that can create cortisol spikes. And those cortisol spikes can lead to weight gain. So sometimes it's better just to take a nice long walk than to constantly be running it out. So also look at your protein intake and your amino acids. I know amino acids are very important as we get older, vitamin D as well, but make sure you are also sleeping. And ideally, if you have body composition changes, you can track that. There's scales for that, but track that. There's ways to track it on a scale. Use the same scale if you're doing it, and then figure out where your optimal is so that you know that, hey, this is where I'm at and this is where I need to get to, and then put a plan together to get there. Number 10, you lose muscle more easily. I kind of touched on this a little bit already. This is why I talk so much about strength training in a lot of my podcasts. Many women spend decades, obsessing over the smaller finger. But when you get into midlife, that's when you start saying, oh my gosh, why am I so weak? Or how do I remain strong or keep my strength? Because muscle matters for mobility. If you're hunched over, your muscle mass is breaking down. If you're having constant hip problems or knee problems, your muscle mass may be breaking down. And then your metabolism slows because you don't have enough muscle mass and your balance, and you can't do yoga the way you did. So just remember, you're going to have to keep your muscle mass going, and you may have to lift heavier weights than you've ever done before. And if you aren't giving your body a reason to maintain the muscle, it becomes easier to lose it at this age. So track your strength. I track in my workout routines what I'm lifting, and hopefully I go up every week on different lifts. So just track what you're lifting, and can you get up off the floor easy? That's kind of like a true telltale sign. If you're lifting weights and you're active, you need to be able to get off the floor easily and carry groceries and climb stairs. And if your weight keeps increasing over time, you're going to have to do something about it, because you don't want to get too big and then have your bones break down because your muscle mass is not there. So it's okay to increase muscle mass, but don't increase the fat mass, because a lot of times it's harder to move around. But don't just track how much you weigh, track your muscle as well. Okay, and also track what you do. That's good. Number 11, joints that suddenly have opinions. Oh my gosh, joints. If I could only tell you how many joints. A lot of times we're in gymnastics or in sports when we're younger, and then you wake up and you're like, ooh, why does my shoulder hurt? Ooh, my ankle hurts, my knee hurts. You don't have an injury. It's just inflammation in that joint. You didn't lift anything unusual. You might have just slept raw. It might take work just to get out of bed. So apparently your shoulder simply had feedback to tell you in the morning, and your joints and muscle discomfort are, it's reported a lot of times in menopause. But joint pain can obviously, it has many other causes. It can be an injury. I'm not making light of it. And it can be arthritis. So track your joints. There's some stem cells and PRP for inflammation and arthritis that are showing some promising things if you want to look into that. But track which joints hurt. Is it both sides or is it one? Is it a new injury? Do you think you might have injured it or hurt it? Sometimes you just sleep wrong. Honestly, I can't explain it any more than that. Is it always the morning or the evening that it hurts? Maybe if you're on your legs all day long, your knees start to swell up. And does movement improve it? Now, you need to exercise, but does exercising aggravate the soreness? Is there any swelling, redness, weakness? And how long has it been happening? Now, there are supplements you can take. There's different types of treatments you can do. You need to really dive into it. If it's causing a lot of pain and interfering with your daily activities, dive into it, because you don't want to live in pain. Number 12, halfway there about, recovery will now take longer. So remember when you're exercising, and you used to be able to exercise 5 or 6 days a week, and it was completely normal the next morning to go work out again. And then you work out every day. Midlife occasionally responds with, ooh, that's adorable, but you're going to be sore for 2 more days. Recovery can increase. It may take longer to recover from that hard workout. Make sure you're getting good sleep, nutrition, protein is so important as you're gaining muscle. Then make sure you hydrate. Sometimes intelligent training matters. It might be time to hire a personal trainer, because training harder isn't always training smarter. It's better as you get older to have a trainer that can teach you the proper ways to train. Make sure you hire the right one though. Track your intensity. I like tracking it every week. And then also, if you're sore, I was trying to work out 6 days a week and I kept getting sore. So I switched it up with weightlifting 3 to 4 days a week. And then I do swimming on the off days so that I don't just constantly hammer my muscles, because I was really cannibalizing my muscles by working out so much. Sleep more, rest more, and then you'll be able to track your performance. If your strength is steadily declining, rather than improving, your recovery plan needs some attention, because you gain muscle when you recover. Number 13, your skin suddenly gets drier. I will say this is a big problem. You have to moisturize over and over again, more than you probably were 10 years ago. So your skin responds when you're going to need more moisturizer. I like doing oil right after I shower and then putting lotion on top. But hormonal changes will affect your skin. So dryness can become more noticeable. You may get wrinkles, elasticity changes. There's supplements you can take. You may need different types of skincare treatments. A lot of times they have these 20-year-olds showing their skincare regimen. You're not 20, so do the skincare regimen that works for your age. And was it sudden versus gradual? Because sometimes that happens and it's because of something you're eating. Did it happen because you moved to a new location, or you're using a different skincare product, or medications? Medications, again, ladies, can affect. Are you not drinking enough? Are you having rashes or itches? A lot of women are getting autoimmunes in their 40s and 50s, and it causes skin issues as well. So if it's severe itching or persistent, you need to talk to your healthcare provider for sure, because it could be an allergic reaction, but it could be something more serious. All right, number 14, your hair changes. I know a lot of people, their hair is thinner. They feel like they're losing more of it. It's drier. It's more brittle. It has a different texture. Or sometimes it's just, there's more hair at the bottom of the shower. Because hair loss happens in midlife. It just does. But hair loss also has other possible medical and nutritional issues. Track how much you're losing. Are you getting bald spots? Is it difficult? Is it, thinning in certain spots? Are you getting like bald patches like guys get? Or are there major illnesses that could be deliberately related to? Are you losing weight and at the same time losing more hair? Did you change your diet? Are you not eating protein anymore because you decided to go vegan? You just don't know. Medication, again, can also cause hair loss. Talk to your clinician or your medical doctor and talk to them about the hair loss instead of assuming it's inevitable. This is number 15. This one I hate. There's chin hair, ladies, that arrived and you did not invite it over. A lot of people do dermaplaning now because they have more hair on their face than they used to. And you're getting ready. Let's say you're getting ready to go out and you're like, oh my gosh, where did that big hair on my chin? I look like a wicked witch. And there it is. One thing that happens is chin hair apparently grew half an inch overnight and you have this big old hair sticking out of your chin. It's relatively balanced. It happens when your balance of hormones as women age, that can affect your hair patterns. But dramatic new facial hair growth happens. And there can also be other symptoms, but just realize it can happen. It can also be related to your thyroid. But was it gradual or did it happen overnight? And then is there hair loss and is there acne? Sometimes people get hair and acne growth on their face. So yes, you thought you were done with acne as a teenager, but it will come back after menopause. And then your voice sometimes gets a little deeper. Sometimes it gets a little higher. So your voice can change. It's like we're going through puberty all over again because our hormones change so much. One hair isn't, a medical mystery, but you know what? A sudden major change in having a lot of hair, it may be something going on. All right, number 16. I kind of touched on this. Adult acne. Yep, you get adult acne. So you survived teenage acne, you paid your dues, and then somehow you find yourself buying wrinkle cream at acne at the same time as your teenage son. So it may happen. This seems fundamentally unfair. I really do think that, with all these hormonal changes, especially if now you're taking hormone therapy, that can be interfering and you begin getting breakouts. Sometimes testosterone causes it. Is it happening on your jawline or your chin? Did you think that after hormones, medication that, you'd be fine and now all of a sudden you're taking hormones and you're getting acne? So look into that. And then, look into your skincare products too, because sometimes you need to change skincare as you get older products. And some of the old ones may be causing acne that they never did before. All this timing, really track that because it'll give you the answers you needed. Number 17, my non-favorite is vaginal dryness. So now that we've gone through the symptoms of menopause before, but it is often something that women don't talk about. I'm here to talk about it for you because vaginal tissue, it becomes thinner, it can become drier and less elastic over time. And because your estrogen may decrease it's going to decrease. So as that happens, you're going to have drier. It might burn when you have sex, ladies. You might be more prone to UTIs. That happens a lot too. And pain after sex when you're dry. Oh my gosh. And I want to make it very clear. Painful sex is not something you should be accepting just because you got older. Now, I will say the size of the man does matter. Men always think that their size, they want to have as big as possible. But if they're too big, it can also cause pain for women when it's just not working. So just realize dryness, burning, pain, bleeding after sex, that's not normal. Or if you're having like urinary tract infections or symptoms like that, track when it started and whether it's affecting your intimacy because it can be a big one. And if you have a lot of pain during sex, you're going to have to figure out a way around this because if you start having sex with pain, you're not going to want to have sex. You have to tell your doctor about this because there's a lot of things they can do to treat this, okay? And then sex feels different. So number 18 is sex feels different. So maybe you're still interested in sex, but your body isn't responding the same way. I know when I was having sex that arousal might take longer with some people. Lubrication may change. You may be drier. Orgasms may feel bigger or less. They just may feel different. And your sensitivity can change. So your libido isn't as spontaneous as it was maybe when you were younger, but it just changes the way you have sex as you get older. So sexual function can change during and after menopause transition. So remember that we talked about our libido in the previous episode, but you need to make sure that hormones aren't the entire story because it can be sleep, stress, relationship, quality. It can be a bad relationship, honestly. If you're having pain, if the guy's too large for you, ladies, hopefully you've broken yourself in over time, but that can be a thing. Medications And then body confidence too. I mean, that matters, but attraction matters. All these things matter. So track your desire and your comfort levels, because if you're having pain, you're not going to have an orgasm. If you're having relation stress, it can also impact the orgasms. So, and then also track the medications. Again, don't reduce your entire sexual life to one thing, and don't think it's always testosterone, because a lot of people do. All right, number 19, you have to pee all the time. This is my big thing. I have to go pee often. Nobody tells you how much you're gonna, how glamorous menopause is in this glamorous brochure about menopause, that your bladder is going to change. When your estrogen goes down, it can affect the tissue around the vaginal walls as well as the urinary area. So that's why a lot of women get more urinary tract infections as well. And some women experience urgency to pee more often than others. Also, if you've had children, sometimes that affects the urgency to pee. As we know, some people sneeze and they pee a little after they have a baby. That can be tightened up with your, Kegels and vaginal wall contractions. And if you can't do it that way, some women have surgery. But nonetheless, you need to track how often you're urinating. Are you waking up at night to urinate? I think I wake up 3 times a night to go to the bathroom. Is it leaking? If you're having leaking issues, it might be that you need to do more Kegels or need to talk to a doctor. Do you have burning? Is there blood in your pee? That could be a serious issue. So if it's painful, don't ignore it, because if it's pain when you pee, if you have a urinary tract infection, it can spread to your kidneys or your bladder, and you can get a kidney infection, and it can be life-threatening. So don't assume burning or pain is just menopause, because urinary tract infections, they need immediate attention. You don't just ignore them. All right, number 20, we're almost there. You leak when you cough, sneeze, or jump. I touched on this before. So there are people that when they sneeze, and they have to cross their legs or they pee a little. And nobody told you that after you had a baby, that sometimes that happens. I had that happen right after I had my babies. Thank goodness it went away, but I did not know that was a thing. And urinary leakage is common in women that, we joke about it, but it needs to be treated. So sometimes you don't have to accept it, because pelvic floor therapy, there's also a machine that one of my friends, I'm going to have her on a podcast soon, that she uses to help tighten the pelvic floor. And it can be extremely helpful depending on the cause. But what's triggering the leak? Is it sneezing? Some women do it when they run, jump. Is it often? How often? So you need to have the information and figure out what the bladder problem is. Make sure it's not painful. If you have pain, it's probably something else related to something else. All right. So just realize other women do pee and sneeze sometimes too, or run and it drips out. So you may have to have multiple underwear changes during the day, or definitely wear a pad if you know it's coming, because it's kind of annoying. Anyway, your libido goes missing, number 21. And that happens. We had a whole podcast about it yesterday, or I guess a couple days ago. So sex sounds great. Today, you say, please don't touch me. But yesterday, you're like, oh, I'm all about this. And again, hormones can contribute to this. But before blaming hormones, you need to look at your entire picture. And we talked about this in detail. Are you sleeping? Are you stressed? Are you having mental overload? Do you resent your partner? Are you angry with them? Does sex hurt? And then always, the medication is always one. So do you feel good in your body when you have sex? But if your libido is down, it's usually a mental thing as well as hormonal. So those are the 2 main reasons. Is something going on mentally? And mentally can be anything in your relationship. Do you not find your partner exciting? Are they boring you? Or are you simply exhausted? Or is it something related to your hormones? So track your desire level, your sleep, your stress, and your relationship satisfaction. On a scale of 1 to 10, are you satisfied in your relationship? And if it's causing you pain because of some of the other things we talked about, vaginal dryness, etc., you need to know, I don't want sex because I'm always in pain, and then try to fix that. But cycles of hormones change, and just realize this, men, if you're dating a woman or married to a woman, that sometimes she's going to cycle through different types of libido. And medications change. So sometimes libido isn't malfunctioning. It's a reported condition that just changed because your medications change. So track all that and you'll find out more. All right, number 22, digestion seems different. I will say as I got older, bloating happened more, constipation happened more, and different digestive patterns happen. It's like your digestive system doesn't move as fast. That's why you may eat lunch and you don't want dinner, because your digestive system is not moving as quickly. But gastrointestinal symptoms are the perfect example of something that we should definitely be tracking. And don't always automatically blame menopause. So you could have diet changes that could have changed it. Your medications a lot of times may make you constipated, or supplements. You may also have a gallbladder or a liver issue. So realize that you may need to talk to a professional. You could have food intolerances, GI disorders, or anything else related to your gastro. I mean, some people get ulcers and it causes things as well. Stress can also cause gastrointestinal issues. So track what you ate. If you're having bowel problems every day or it's painful, you need to talk to your doctor because medications can help. But if it's consistently, you really need to talk to your doctor because it can cause bloating and you can get an obstruction as well, which could be life-threatening. And if the symptoms get worse or they're persistent, it does desire actual investigation because if you can't, get rid of waste, you're going to have a problem. Number 23, your alcohol tolerance may feel completely different. You used to drink 2 glasses of wine in your 20s and 30s, and you'd be like, I'm going to go for another 2. Maybe that was me. Okay, but now you have 2 glasses of wine and you wake up at 2 o'clock in the morning and you're like, your heart is beating faster, you're having heart palpitations, your tongue is dry, and you feel like you drank 3 bottles of wine. So part of this may simply be aging, sleep disruption, hydration, or medications, but it may also be physiological. And alcohol a lot of times will affect sleep. It can make it worse. It makes you sleepy sometimes in the morning. So you may want to cut back on drinking. And that's why I think a lot of people our age, Gen Xers and even younger, they're cutting back on how much they drink. And there's a lot of good alternatives now with non-alcoholic beer and non-alcoholic wine. And I like some of the non-alcoholic champagne even. But figure out when you can drink if you are a drinker and what time. Otherwise, it's going to affect your sleep quality, and that can affect everything else. It can also cause night sweats that you thought were hot flashes, but it's actually the alcohol. So remember that, and your heart rate could change, your energy the next day could change, and it may not be menopause, it may just be the alcohol because your body reacts to it differently than it used to. So discover your body, discover what's giving you feedback in your body. That way you know what you need to change and what you need to fix. Number 24, fatigue that doesn't match your activity. So this one needs special intentions. You didn't run a marathon, you didn't work 18 hours, but you woke up, you felt unplugged, you had poor sleep, but you got more sleep than you thought you did. You track your record and you're like, oh, I slept 8 hours, but for some reason I'm exhausted. So persistent fatigue can be anemia. And a lot of women in their, during and after menopause may have anemia or a thyroid disease or medication. So some women have sleep apnea and mood disorders as well. So track it for a medical condition. Track it so you can see if it's a medical condition. So track your hours, give this to your doctor, your quality, how much energy you have. If you're exercising, ladies, if you're exercising 4 or 5 hours a day in your 40s and 50s, you may be causing your own problems because a lot of women could do that in their 20s and now they're in their 50s. They were in their 20s and they were in a sport and now they're in their 50s and like, oh my gosh, I'm causing my own problems because I'm working out too much. So just realize that. And, snoring is a big thing as well. And if you have fatigue and it's getting progressively worse, do not automatically accept it as unexplained because it can cause so many problems for so many things. So, all right, we're at number 25. You don't feel like yourself anymore. Nobody tells you this, but you may feel, this one may be the biggest one of all. Women tell doctors, something feels different. I just don't feel like myself. And sometimes that can particularly be hormones. It can be your sleep has changed dramatically and your body's changed. So you don't feel like it, or you're not as sexual, or maybe you're way more sexual. So everybody's a little different. Your patience may be running thin with your children or your energy changes. And it may be hormones. It may be menopausal. It may not. So if you're losing concentration, a lot of people realize that is maybe related to a hormone, but it also may be related to something else. So suddenly you recognize that the woman you're looking at is not the same woman. And you have to go through kind of an identity crisis, I think. And that's when sometimes we become frightened a little bit. So here's what I want you to know. Midlife isn't one symptom. It's so many symptoms. It's a multiple of symptoms, and it's almost like a detective work to figure out what's going on. And it makes it difficult to identify exactly what's causing it. And that's why you kind of have to be your own detective. And I kind of like AI for this, I will say, because it does help track and figure things out. If you can put all your symptoms in, it can help you do that. So instead of trying to remember everything, when you finally get to your doctor's office 6 weeks from now, start tracking it. All right. You need to have a tracker that you can use. You don't need a complicated spreadsheet. Spreadsheets work, though. I will say I love spreadsheets. I love me some spreadsheets. But every day, or maybe in a journal, track your sleep. If you have a sleep tracker, great. I like the rings because it tracks your sleep, it tracks your exercise, it tracks your steps. But figure out if you can write down how much sleep you have, how much energy you have, because that's a feeling. That's not a number that you have. And then, are you calm? Are you anxious? Is your mood good? Are you stable? Are you sad? Do you have hot flashes? Is your brain focus, waning? And that might be a testosterone issue or something else. Has your waist increased? Because a lot of women in their 40s, 50s, and 60s, their waists get bigger. Do you exercise? What do you do when you try to recover? And then do you have any pain anywhere? Is it vaginal dryness pain? Do you have pain in your joints? Figure all of this out. Track your digestion, your sexual health, and your bladder, as well as medications and hormones, and your alcohol and caffeine. So all of these things need to be tracked, because finally, anything new that you do can affect everything. And so it's such a way to, I think we have to be our own detectives, and we have to figure out what's going on. And this is the last one. It really matters, because you may start seeing patterns with every time you add something new into your life, something happens. You added a new food, and now you're completely bloated where you never used to get bloated. Maybe you have a food intolerance that you didn't know about. Maybe your worst brain fog always follows your worst sleep, or your heart palpitations occur after your 3 cups of coffee, which used to be fine, but suddenly it's not anymore. Maybe alcohol makes you have night sweats, whereas before you used to be fine, and now you can't drink alcohol at night. You can only drink it at lunch. It's okay to have a glass of wine at lunch if you need one, but you don't need to change everything. But sometimes you can't do it at night anymore. And if your libido's plummeted, is it you're chronically exhausted, or are you having problems in your relationships? So patterns help you separate that something is happening from, oh my gosh, I think something is happening. So if you can track for just a week or two, you'll get a better picture. But don't blame menopause for everything. So the most important part of today's episode is being 45, 50, or 55 does not mean every new symptom belongs to menopause, because everybody will tell you, oh, it's got to be menopause, or oh, it's your hormones. But please stop letting people dismiss your symptoms that way, because they don't know. And if you have chest pain, you need to get it evaluated. If you're fainting or getting dizzy, get that evaluated. Don't just assume, because you could have neurological symptoms. You could have unexplained bleeding from menopause, which is causing anemia, or, even unexplained weight loss or weight gain can be something related. So abdominal pain, depression, all those, even a lump in your breast, a lot of people have ignored those in the past, not so much anymore. But those things they may not be menopause. So you need to take your health seriously. You need to get things evaluated, because midlife, it's not a specific diagnosis. You have to track so many different factors, but menopause doesn't make women immune to everything else. And that's what I want to say. It's not just hormones. It's not just menopause. Sometimes other things are happening inside your body. So here's my challenge for you. For the next 30 days, if you become a detective instead of a critic of your body, figure out what's working for you, what's not working for you. Don't wake up saying, oh, my body's falling apart. Say, what is my body telling me that it needs more of? Does it need more sleep? Can you track it? Does it need more exercise? Do you need to lose some weight? Strength training is great. Are you getting enough protein? Are you drinking too much alcohol? Track it. And determine what your body likes. You don't need to be like anyone else. You're unique. And just because things work for some 20-year-old on social media doesn't mean it's going to work for you. So pay attention to your stress and your symptoms and write it all down. Write down any medication changes and track your sexual desire and urinary symptoms. And, bring this information to your healthcare provider. And I hope that you're all getting your annual checkups with your healthcare provider so that you can say, hey, look, I feel terrible. And you can't just say, I feel terrible. You need to give them all the symptoms. And I do like ChatGPT. I will say, I like to put that in there and say, hey, ChatGPT offered these options. What do you think? And honestly, if a doctor gets completely threatened by information that you come prepared with, and they don't want you to be informed, and that's a sign of the doctor, not on you. But the biggest mistake women can make during midlife is just assuming that you have two choices: suffer through it or pretend it's not happening. There's a third option: understand what's happening and fix the problem. Some symptoms can improve with lifestyle changes, or with food, or with medication, or all kinds of different things, even supplements, but some may be related to menopause that you have to deal with. But a lot of things can be fixed, ladies. If there's a problem, let's find the solution. All right? It may have absolutely nothing to do with menopause, and simply your body, it can simply be your body telling you that the way you've been living in the past for the last 20 years is not going to work for the next 20. You may need more sleep. You may need more muscle. You may need to decrease your stress. You may need to get a different doctor. Sorry, doctors, but sometimes doctors don't listen very well. And you have to prioritize yourself again. It's okay to take care of you. It's okay to take care of you, ladies, even though I know we are so busy taking care of everyone else. And maybe you need to stop treating exhaustion as an achievement. And I know, when I was in my 20s, I only slept 2 hours, but I'm still kicking. It was like a badge of honor. But now you need to stop saying I'm just getting old and say, hey, I need to get more sleep because I'm exhausted. The final takeaways I want to leave you with is let's run through our 25 things one more time. And then real quickly. And so it's sleep disruption, night sweats, brain fog, forgetfulness, irritability, anxiety, palpitations, temperature changes, body composition changes, muscle loss, joint discomfort, slower recovery, dry skin, hair changes, facial hair, adult acne, vaginal dryness, sexual changes, urinary tract frequency or urinary frequency, and bladder leakage, libido changes, digestive changes, different alcohol tolerances, fatigue, and the strange feeling of I just don't feel like myself anymore. If you're experiencing severe of anything at the same time, start tracking and remember to talk to your doctor. And if it seems like it's in a medical emergency, you need to go to an emergency room right away. It's not to become obsessed with every sensation. It's just to understand how your body is and how you are. And it's to create enough information to recognize you have patterns. Oh, I drank, therefore I'm going to sweat at night. Or, ooh, I didn't get enough sleep, so I might be irritable during the day. Midlife doesn't mean your best years are behind you. It just means you need to, make sure you're doing what's best for your body. And the rules have changed a little bit. Don't expect the rules at 50 to be the same as they were at 20, because at this stage in your life, you're desperately trying to become 25 again, but the reality is you're not. And it's okay. Your body's not betraying you. It's asking you to finally start paying attention. And maybe, we probably should have paid attention a little bit earlier as well. So if you were counting the symptoms and thinking, wait, I have 17 of them, it's okay. You're definitely going to want to send this episode to your girlfriend if they are going through menopause, and start tracking instead of diagnosing yourself on Google every night, because that can lead to craziness and you can diagnose yourself into insanity. But you have to do, Diva Details is here. We want to keep talking about the things that women experience in midlife, and we want to keep doing that for you. We are going to talk more about sex, hormones, relationships, health, dating, weight, sleep, confidence, all these things that are coming up on some episodes that I have coming up. So every stage, strange things like surprise you, that bothers you, we're going to be discussing. So I hope that, midlife is not so scary, because we're helping you through it. And at this point, when we finally have enough experience to stop accepting bad information and bad relationship advice, I hope we are here to help you find the right answers that help you grow and become the people you are supposed to be and meant to be. This is Diva Details. This is Diva Mia. I hope you have a wonderful day. Please note that the medical backbone of this episode is consistent with guidance from the National Institute of Aging, and you should always talk to your doctor. All right. Anyway, I hope you have a wonderful week. Stay strong, stay powerful, and make it a great week. Take care.
Thanks for tuning in. Like, subscribe, and drop a comment. We'd love hearing from you. Visit thedivadetails.com to connect. See you next week for more.
Diva Details podcast and website are intended solely for informational and entertainment purposes. The content provided does not constitute professional, medical, financial, or legal advice. We are not licensed medical practitioners, financial advisors, or legal professionals. Always consult with a qualified healthcare provider for medical advice, diagnosis, or treatment. Any financial topics discussed are based on personal opinions and experience and should not be considered professional advice. The content provided does not constitute legal advice. The Diva Details and its affiliate contributors and guests are not liable for any losses or damages arising from the use of our content. The opinions expressed in the podcast are solely those of the speakers and do not necessarily reflect the views of any affiliated organization, sponsors, or partners. All facts discussed in the podcast are researched and accurate to the best of our knowledge at the time of recording. Information may change over time. No guarantees are made regarding the accuracy, completeness, or reliability of any statements or opinions presented. It is the responsibility of the listener to verify any and all facts that may influence their decision. This podcast is for information and entertainment purposes only and should not be considered professional advice.